What's going on, you guys? Tom sent me this video, and I just figured, check it out together. You can tell right from the description here that it's going to be this dude, this man built a time machine in his garage and vanished in 1997. Now he returned 29 years later. And shout out to Optic Expedition. Let's get into it.
Back to the Future. Could it actually happen with a real time machine?
I was devastated. I thought if I could build a time machine that I could go back and see him again and tell him what was going to happen, maybe save his life. And so that became an obsession for me.
In 1997, a self-taught electrical tinkerer named Mike Marcum walked into a machine he had built inside his own garage, stepped into the field it generated, and vanished. Gone. No body, no goodbye, no forwarding address. His garage burned to the ground the same night. Investigators found melted copper, destroyed transformers, and a 6-foot circular.
Melted in one night. Damn. Like, I mean, you would think that they would have like shoes or something left of his body, but if they didn't find anything, maybe the motherfucker did time travel.
Burn pattern scorched into the concrete floor, but no remains, no sign of Mike anywhere. The only thing that survived the fire was a handwritten note tucked inside a metal toolbox. It read, "It's not about time, it's about how you see things." For 29 years, the internet argued over what happened to him. Time travel, government abduction, a portal to another dimension. Some people said he was dead. Others said he never existed at all. And then, in 2022, Mike Marcum reappeared, older, exhausted, carrying a wooden box full of journals.
I've never heard of this. What the fuck? This is 2022's? This is so recent. I figured I would have heard of this.
Diagrams, and 29 years of evidence. But what he brought back wasn't proof of time travel. It was something far, far worse. This is his story. The discovery. Mike Marcum grew up in rural Missouri in the 70s and 80s. No degrees, no funding, no connections. Just a kid who was dangerously obsessed with electricity, scavenging transformers from junkyards.
Like, you think maybe he had help if he did time travel. Or, I mean, I don't know. There are certain people that, like, are super tinkery, you know? You got your Teslas and stuff like that, but I don't know.
Teaching himself electronics from library books, spending every free hour in a converted garage behind a rented farmhouse building, things that threw sparks, Tesla coils, Jacob's ladders, anything that could produce a high-voltage arc. He didn't have a plan. He just loved the raw, terrifying power of it. And sometime in the early 1990s, that obsession led him to something he was never supposed to find. He had built a Jacob's ladder, 2 metal rods in a V-shape, high voltage, creating an arc that climbed.
So I mean, if he did all that shit, so I think he's
upward between
smarter
them. Standard physics demonstration equipment,
sure.
But Mike noticed something no textbook had prepared him for. When he positioned a cheap laser pointer to shine through the arc's behavior changed. It became more stable, more focused, and objects placed near the arc flickered. At first he wrote it off as an optical illusion, the bright arc washing out his vision. But he couldn't let it go. He started testing systematically. Small metal objects between the rods, screws, washers, coins, and sometimes, for just a fraction of a second, they would disappear. Not move, not fall, disappear. Visible one instant, gone the next, then back. And that's when Mike Marcum's life split in half. Everything before that moment.
You know, shit's just appearing in places, just like forks and shit are just fucking stabbing people in another timeline.
And everything after. The call.
Slowly,
he became obsessed, documented everything. Voltage levels, environmental conditions, diagrams of every configuration. He was convinced he had stumbled onto something real. He just didn't know what it was, and he needed someone to tell him he wasn't losing his mind. In January 1995, he picked up the phone and called Coast to Coast AM. the legendary late-night radio show hosted by Art Bell.
Yeah,
Mike was
Art
nervous,
Bell.
stumbling over his words. He told Art he had built a device in his garage that could make objects vanish from reality for fractions of a second, and then reappear exactly where they had been, unchanged. Art Bell, a man who had heard every kind of claim imaginable, leaned in. How do you know the object disappears?
Man, that's so he's notable, and let me write this here down. He contacted Art Bell. He came back in 2020. Oh man.
He asked. Could it just
What do
be
you
an
guys think?
optical illusion from the Ark? Mike's answer made Art go quiet. I know it disappears because I can feel it, Mike said. When the field hits right, everything in the garage feels wrong. The air feels like it's holding its breath. And I'm not the only one who notices. My dog won't come near the garage anymore. Birds won't land on the roof. Something about that field makes
Animals-
living things want to be somewhere
Animals
else.
can sense things,
There was a
man.
pause, a real one. Then Art said carefully, Mike, I want you to document everything. Bring in witnesses, record video, and call me back. That invitation changed everything. Now, if you're the kind of person who watches stories like this, subscribe now, because this one is just getting started. The escalation. Over the next several months, Mike's experiments escalated. He wasn't satisfied with making objects flicker. He wanted to understand it, control it, amplify it. And for that, he needed more power, way more than his scavenged equipment could deliver. So, in the summer of 1995, Mike did something reckless. He stole 6 industrial transformers from a rural electrical substation. He wired them together in his
See,
garage,
that's what I'm
creating a
saying.
system
This
that
guy-
could pull
I feel like this guy had help. Like he had a crew, or I'm not saying that he didn't know that this shit would work. Yeah, maybe, but he's not breaking in there. So what did they say, 6 transformers? He's not doing that by himself. I mean, I guess he could, but I feel like
massive
somebody
amounts of
would've caught him.
electricity from the grid.
Dude,
And get
there for
this,
hours.
when he fired it up, it drew so much power that it caused a brownout across several
You're not
neighboring
just in and
properties.
out.
Lights flickered, equipment died. Utility investigators traced the surge straight to Mike's garage. He was arrested, charged with theft and reckless endangerment, sentenced to 60 days in county jail. Most people would have stopped right there, learned their lesson, gone back to fixing. Appliances, not Mike. Those 60 days in a cell made him worse. He spent every waking hour sketching new diagrams, refining calculations, planning a more powerful build. He walked out of that jail more obsessed than when he walked in. When Mike got out in late 1995, he called Coast to Coast AM again. But this time, Art Bell noticed something different immediately. Mike's voice had changed. Darker, more urgent, almost desperate. Mike told Art he'd rebuilt his system, legally
Like
this
he
time,
figured something
with
out,
purchased components.
You know?
Refine the design, better control mechanisms, more precise laser stabilization. And the effects were no longer subtle. Objects aren't just flickering anymore, Art, Mike said. They're gone for seconds, sometimes longer. And when they come back, sometimes they come back wrong.
That's
He
what I'm
described
saying.
placing a wooden block
Just
between the arcs.
sending
It
stuff
vanished
all
for
over the
3
place.
seconds. When it reappeared, it was
All
ice
over
cold,
different times.
far colder than the surrounding air, as if it had been
So
somewhere
it's like
else.
frozen, like freezing in time. Weird. Super strange. Like, I was thinking of, I don't know why, but I was thinking of that Walt Disney, like freezing yourself in time. You know, there's just stuff that, we were all taught was impossible growing up. It's like cloning and freezing yourself, Cairo, whatever, fucking weird
Somewhere
shit,
freezing.
man.
He tested with a flower. It disappeared and came back wilted, as if days had passed instead of seconds. And then
Like
Mike
a
said
freeze
something that
flower.
made Art Bell's voice shift from curiosity to genuine concern. He'd tested with a mouse. The mouse disappeared for 5 seconds. When it came back, it was alive, but completely
shit.
disoriented, moving erratically, refusing to
fucked up.
eat. It died 2 days later. Mike,
What?
Art said, and you could
That's crazy. Rat. I mean, the rat lived for 2 days. Like, what was cause of
hear the
death on
worry
the
in his
rat,
voice.
you know?
You need to
How
stop
much, like,
experimenting alone. Contact real scientists. Get oversight. This is beyond what one person should be doing in a garage. But you could hear it in Mike's
I don't
response.
think
He was past listening. The obsession had swallowed him
way,
whole.
dude.
Here's the catch. It was about to get much worse. The final call and the vanishing. In late February 1996, Mike made his final call to Coast AM. And what he said that night shocked even Art Bell's audience. A crowd that had genuinely heard everything over the
So we called him
years.
3 times.
Mike said he had enlarged the field. It wasn't just affecting small objects anymore. He said he could step partially into it himself. And when he did, time felt different. It's like everything slows down except you, Mike said. You can see things happening in slow motion. You can move between seconds. And when you step out, you realize more time has passed than you experienced. Like you were gone longer than you thought. Dead silence on the line. Then Art asked the question everyone was thinking.
It's like going
Mike,
to space.
are you telling me
like the trip to outer space? When you come back,
you've
people are
built a
aged
time
different,
machine?
all that.
Mike paused.
Messes
Then
with my
carefully,
head.
I don't know if
Figure
it's
out no
time
shit.
travel, but it's something. The field disrupts normal perception, or normal reality. I can't tell which. But I'm close, Art. I just need more power and a better stabilizer. Art tried to talk him down. Bring in scientists, work within the system. But Mike's paranoia had taken root. He talked about government surveillance, people watching his house, cars on his road that didn't belong there. The call ended with a promise. I'll call back in March.
Yeah, I mean, all the inventors and everybody before him that came out with like cool stuff or free energy, they've all disappeared or something's happened to them. Their families were threatened. I mean,
I'll have proof.
you can't
Video,
blame the guy,
measurements, everything you've
but also,
asked
how
for.
can you prove that any of
That
this
call
shit was
never
true?
came. March 1997. Mike had gone silent. Phone disconnected, letters returned. People who drove past the farmhouse said it looked abandoned. Then the garage burned down. Investigators found melted copper, destroyed transformers, and that 6-foot circular burn pattern on the concrete floor. But no body, no Mike, just the note in the toolbox. It's not about time, it's about how you see things. Investigators concluded he'd probably fled before the fire, maybe set it himself. Case closed. Missing person report filed, but never pursued. But online,
Hell of a
the
mystery
story
to live
detonated.
behind.
By summer 1997, Mike Marcum was an internet legend. Forums exploded with theories. He'd time traveled to the future, gone to the past, opened a portal, been killed by the government, faked the whole thing, coast to coast. AM devoted entire episodes to the mystery. But wait, it gets worse. The legend deepens. In the summer of 1998, an internet researcher dug up a news clipping from 1930. A body had washed up on a California beach. Male,
No
roughly
way, dude. No way. He time traveled to 1930.
30 to 35, wearing clothing that seemed oddly modern for the era. In his pocket, a small rectangular metal device covered with buttons and unidentifiable symbols. The device was photographed, grainy image, but when enhanced and posted online, people noticed something chilling. It looked like something a 1990s tinkerer would build. What appeared to be LED indicators, a design language that matched Mike's sketches. Could Mike have traveled back to 1930 and died there? Could that device have been one of his control units? The evidence was thin, but it fed the legend until Mike Marcum became the man who built a time machine and was found dead in 1930, decades before he was born. For years, that's where the story sat, an unsolved mystery, a cautionary tale whispered late at night on
Okay, so-
paranormal forums, until 2006. Now,
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say it can't be because I mean the title fucking says like came back. Now he returned, and I think earlier we had said something about 2020. Yeah, I wrote it down.
Pay attention to this part. In September
I
2006, Dr. Harold Voss, a physics professor in Oregon who ran a blog about fringe science, opened his email and found a message that made the hair on his arm stand up. The sender claimed to be Mike Marcum. The message, "I know people think I'm dead. I'm not. But I'm not exactly here either. The machine worked, but not how I thought. I'm sending you diagrams, third-generation vortex stabilization frame. Don't build it. Just
Okay, so
study
he
it.
sent a
Understand
message.
what I couldn't."
That's what's going on.
Attached were technical diagrams far more sophisticated than anything Mike had described on air. Circuit designs, field equations, warnings about biological effects. Dr. Voss read the email 3 times, tried to reply, bounced, traced
See-
the IP to a public.
This guy is way smarter than they made. Man, like he didn't do any of this academically in school or
library
any
in
of that.
Kauai, Hawaii.
That's crazy.
Authorities checked. No one remembered anyone matching Mike's description. Another dead end, and the mystery got deeper. The return. And then came 2022, 29, years after Mike Marcum vanished. Andrew and
Okay,
Melanie Carter had just
2022.
purchased an old farmhouse in rural Ohio. While renovating the attic, they found a heavy wooden box behind insulation in a corner that hadn't been touched in decades. The label read, "M. Marcum, do not open until the right time." Inside, journals filled with handwritten notes, circuit diagrams, and dates spanning from 1995 to 2021. Circuit boards, some burned, some pristine, wrapped in anti-static bags, and a Polaroid photograph showing a man standing beside a large ring-shaped metal.
Huh. But he seems like he's the same age, man. I guess if he's time traveling, he's not really aging, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Shit is fucking weird, right? It's weird,
Metal
right?
frame. Date stamp, June 21st, 2021. On the back, someone had written, "It did work, but not the way I thought it would." Here's the catch. One of the journals contained the exact address of the farmhouse where the Carters now lived. Next to it, a note. Magnetic field stability optimal, safe storage location. They will find it when the time is right. How did Mike know this address? How did he know the Carters would buy this? Specific house? How did a box hidden years ago contain documents dated 2021? Andrew and Melanie posted about it on Reddit. The post went viral. Within days, people who'd followed the Mike Marcum story for decades were reaching out. And
Oh,
then,
yeah,
3 weeks
man,
later,
like, this is a conspiracy theorist dream right here. Like, if you've followed this back when it was originally coming out, and then, like, all of a sudden, new breaking media, of course you're gonna be excited.
Andrew received a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
No
That's
caller
awesome.
ID.
I mean,
The voice on the other end was
I've never heard
tired,
of this.
worn, but unmistakable to anyone who'd ever listened to those old coast-to-coast recordings. "This is Mike Marcum. I hear you found my box. I'd like to explain what happened. Can I come visit?" He arrived at the Carter farmhouse in October 2022. 59 years old, the right age if he'd aged normally since 1997. But he looked far older, weathered, like a man worn down by something no one else could see. What
Well,
he
that's
told
like
Andrew and
mad
Melanie
science.
over the next several
That's like
hours.
mad scientist stuff right there. I mean, trying to work on a project for that long, it'll just drive you insane. I mean, if he's
Changed
aged
everything.
normally, it's
According to
kinda like,
Mike, he did not
yeah.
travel through time, not in the way anyone imagined. "The
Oh,
machine
see.
didn't move me through time," Mike said. "It desynchronized. Me from everyone else. I was still here, same places, same moments, but I was out of phase, like a radio tuned slightly off frequency. You can still hear the music, but it's fuzzy, distant, you're present."
Huh, yeah, I've never even heard of that. Like going into like your own dimension, but you can still see this dimension, you know? That's kind of weird. If that's what they're talking about. Sounds like it is.
But not quite there. He described the night of the fire, March 1997. Third-generation machine, far more powerful than anything before. The field stabilized, and Mike, in a moment of reckless confidence, stepped fully
Is that
into
him?
it. No flash of light, no sensation of movement, just a quiet feeling of disconnection. Like the world had
Just a
shifted
slow
slightly to the
death.
left and he'd stayed in place. When he stepped out, everything looked the same, but hours had passed. The machine had overheated and caught fire. Mike escaped. But when he tried to contact people, something was deeply wrong. Friends recognized his face but couldn't place his name. His landlord remembered renting to someone but couldn't recall details. Phone calls reached disconnected numbers. It was as if Mike's existence had been partially erased from other people's ability to perceive him. "I didn't disappear," Mike
I don't know, man. See, it wasn't exactly like I thought. I thought he might have been in another dimension. See, like, now he's still like there. People just, if this conspiracy was like really popping off, everybody was looking for that guy. Like, what are they saying? Like, some people can see him and some can't, or everybody can see him, they just don't know who he is. But at the same time, everybody's looking for this guy that said he was a time traveler.
said. "I became hard to
I
find,
don't know.
hard to remember, like your brain couldn't quite hold on to the idea of me. And every time I'd tested the machine on myself, it got worse. I became a little less real to everyone else." Over the years that followed, the desynchronization deepened. Jobs didn't last. Coworkers forgot he worked there. He couldn't keep a bank account because clerks couldn't remember opening one. He drifted. Cash jobs,
What?
temporary rooms, places where nobody needed to remember him.
See, man,
And all the while, he kept researching.
I was kind of buying this the whole time, and but now I don't know, man. I'm just kind of like, it sounds kind of like some phony baloney here with this.
Trying to understand what he'd done, what
I
he
don't know.
discovered. The machine didn't manipulate time, it manipulated perception, memory, and the quantum probability states that determine whether a person can be observed and remembered. Every person exists because others remember them.
But then
Mike
it
told
started
the
wearing
Carters.
off,
Memory
you
creates
know, for this interaction, or is it just through the no removing?
reality, and I damage my ability to be remembered. You can see me now. We're talking, but it's fragile, and it's getting worse. The Carters asked the obvious question: why come back now? Mike said he was running out. Each exposure had deepened the effect. He could barely stay coherent to anyone for more than a few hours. Soon, he'd become completely unmemorable, present but unperceivable, existing in the spaces between people's attention. He had planned this moment years ago, hidden the box in a location with optimal magnetic field stability, waited for the right people to find it, people who would document everything before he slipped completely into unmemory. Before he left, he asked the Carters 3 things. Send the journals to a private research archive, people who would study the work without recklessly replicating it. Lock the attic. Some equipment was still magnetically active, and never try to contact him again. The Carters agreed. Mike thanked them. And then he walked out the door.
So there's multiple people corroborating this. I mean, that's like the upside, but still, man, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it at all.
And this is the part that will stay with you. Unmemory. Andrew and Melanie both described the same experience.
Of course, he doesn't want anybody really talking about that part of it, because I feel like that's the part of it where it all kind of starts to fall apart. Don't contact
The
me,
moment Mike stepped out of the
whatever.
house, they had to actively concentrate to remember what he looked like. His face started dissolving in their minds almost immediately, like trying to hold water in their fists. Within minutes, Melanie grabbed a notepad and started writing down everything she could remember, because the details were already slipping. Andrew found himself staring at the wall, trying to recall the sound of Mike's voice, and couldn't. Within an hour, they were reading their own notes like a stranger's handwriting. The words were theirs, but the memory behind them was fading. Within a week, they had to read their notes to reconstruct the conversation at all. The emotion of it, the awe, the dread, the weight of what Mike had told them, was dissolving into something vague and formless, like waking from a dream you know was important but can't describe. Now, years later, They say the encounter feels like something that happened to someone else, a movie they half remember. They know it was real because the journals are there, the Polaroid is there, they're
Yeah, see, I mean, towards the end here is where it just starts almost feeling just like a story, not more like science fiction, you know? Like a campfire story.
own notes are there, but the living memory of sitting across from Mike Marcum is almost gone. That's what unmemory looks like, not forgetting exactly. Something worse, the slow, quiet erasure of
Well,
someone's presence from your
hey,
mind,
I mean,
while
maybe
the
that's
evidence
why I
of their
don't remember this fucking conspiracy. Maybe I seen the guy, you know? Shit, maybe I was there.
existence sits right in front of you. If you're
Maybe
still
you were
here,
there.
you need to subscribe, because the stories on this channel don't just tell you what happened, they show you what should never have been possible. The Mike Marcum case leaves us with a question that has nothing to do with time machines. It's simpler than that, and far more terrifying. What happens when the thing that makes you real to other people, their ability to perceive you, remember you, hold you in their minds, breaks? Mike's answer: you don't disappear, you don't die, you just become impossible to hold on to. A face no one can quite describe, a name that slips off the tongue, a presence
Like trying to hold water in your fist, you know? I don't know, man. Like if you everything I think has like a slight hint of truth maybe to it at least. Because this is kind of giving those Men in Black vibes, you know? But uh, that's probably true too. I mean, fuck.
that dissolves the moment you leave the room. The Carters kept their promise. The journals were sent, the attic was locked. Since then, occasional unverified sightings. Someone matching Mike's description, asking strange questions in university physics departments. A man at a conference who introduced himself as Mike Marcum, but whom no one could remember afterward. Reports from shelters of a man with technical knowledge who never stayed long enough for anyone to learn his name. Traces, echoes, the fading signature of a man slipping further into unmemory. Somewhere, Mike Marcum is still out there, walking through a world that can barely see him. Still
Or,
breathing,
I
still
mean,
moving.
it didn't, I don't think we confirmed that he didn't die in the 30s, you know, or he just died back in the 30s, or, you know, was unalived by his time machine
Still
or
trying to be
whatever happened to
remembered
him.
before the last thread snaps, and he falls through the cracks of reality for good. Alive, present, and completely irreversibly forgotten.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
machine
maybe
worked.
he's on his way.
Just not the way anyone expected, and the price was a fate worse than death. Mike Marcum found a way to break reality, and reality broke him back.
Yeah, I mean, I there's some time travel stories that are just crazy. I had never heard of that one, you know? Let me know if you guys have ever heard of that one or have any more information on it. I'm kind of on the fence. I, I, I believe in time travel because I've seen some damn compelling evidence. Um, like that Ukrainian one that was right around like the that Glock era, World War II, and then that recent one where the guy had it. He was filming right behind him, his shed, his house, and he ended up calling the cops. And then that guy went in the shed, and then an older guy came out. Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe in time travel or something's going on that is unexplainable. You know, we can't quite explain it, but let me know what you guys think. Just wanted to check that out with you. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you on the next one.
It's a conspiracy that no one's watching, okay?
That dude was an alien that was at the Taco Bell drive-thru. That dude had no idea where he came. He came from outer space.
Now, the dark side of the moon, which no one can ever see, it has a fucking base on it.
Because my brain wanted to be like some man is running at our pickup, and then my brain went, and it's way too big.
How many chips and stuff have we put, or whatever, in the water? That's gotta raise the level a little bit.
And if you watch it on a full moon, it glows out so bright around the outside of the moon that it damn near blinds your eyes looking at it.
Everyone, you either believe it or you cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Catch up on previous episodes on YouTube and be sure to follow our TikTok for more related content. Camspiracies, seeking the truth, one episode at a time.